The White House was quieter than MrBeast expected, the kind of quiet that hums with history. Jimmy Donaldson, known to millions as MrBeast, sat across from Donald Trump in a small, warmly lit room. The cameras were off, the staff dismissed. A hidden mic, unknown to both, captured every word. Jimmy fidgeted, his usual high-energy YouTube persona replaced by a nervous stillness. Trump leaned forward, his eyes sharp, and asked a question that cut through the silence. "Why do you help so many people, Jimmy? What's driving you?" The question wasn't political or staged. It was raw, almost too personal. Jimmy blinked, caught off guard. He'd expected policy talk or a publicity stunt, not this. I don't know where to start," Jimmy said, his voice softer than usual. He glanced at the window where the Washington Monument stood like a sentinel in the dusk. "It's not about the views or the money. It's something deeper. Something from when I was a kid." Trump raised an eyebrow but stayed silent, waiting. Jimmy took a breath and began. "When I was 9, my mom took me to a church food drive. I saw this old man, maybe 80, standing in line for a meal. He looked broken. Not just hungry, but like life had taken everything from him. I asked my mom why he was there. She said, 'Sometimes people just need someone to care.' That stuck with me." Trump nodded slowly, his usual bravado absent. "I get it," he said, "but giving away millions? That's a lot of caring." Jimmy smiled faintly. "It's not about the money. It's about what Jesus taught. Loving others, giving without expecting anything back. That old man didn't need my money then. He needed to know someone saw him." The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Trump shifted in his seat. "You really believe that? That giving's more powerful than winning?" It was less a challenge than a genuine question, one that made Jimmy pause. What would you do if you saw someone broken, forgotten? Would you stop or keep walking? Jimmy's story was pulling Trump in, and the hidden mic caught every word of what was becoming an unlikely heart-to-heart. "I wasn't always like this," Jimmy admitted. "As a kid, I was selfish, wanted fame, attention. But that day at the church, something clicked. I realized helping others wasn't just a nice thing, it was my purpose. It's what God put in me." Trump leaned back, his expression unreadable. What would he say next? Would he dismiss it? Or was something stirring in him too? Trump's eyes narrowed, not in skepticism, but curiosity. "Purpose, huh?" he said, his voice low, almost confiding. "You're young, Jimmy. Most people your age are chasing clout or cash. What makes you so sure this giving thing is your calling?" The question hung in the air, heavy with the weight of a man who'd built his life on winning. Jimmy leaned forward, his hands clasped tightly. The hidden mic, tucked beneath a lamp, recorded every word of this unguarded moment. "It wasn't always clear," Jimmy admitted. "There was a time I thought success was numbers, subscribers, views. But then I remembered something else from that church food drive when I was 9. He paused, his gaze distant. "There was this girl, maybe my age, helping her mom serve food. She didn't have much herself. Her clothes were worn, her shoes too small. But she was smiling, handing out plates like it was her job. I asked her why she was so happy. She said, 'Jesus gave everything for us. I'm just giving a little back.' That hit me hard. I didn't get it then, but later, I realized she was living what Jesus taught. Love your neighbor. Give with a full heart. It wasn't about being seen. It was about seeing others." Trump's face softened just for a moment before he caught himself. "Sounds noble," he said. "But does it ever feel like too much? Like you're carrying the world? Have you ever felt like you're carrying too much for others? What would you give to lighten someone's load? Jimmy's story was unraveling something in Trump, pulling him into a space he rarely visited. "Yeah, it's heavy sometimes," Jimmy said, his voice cracking. "I've had nights where I wonder if I'm doing enough, if I'm really making a difference. I mean, I give away cars, houses, but there's always more need. That's when I lean on faith. Jesus didn't fix every problem. He showed us how to love through them. That's what keeps me going." Trump was quiet, his fingers drumming lightly on the armrest. Then unexpectedly he spoke. "I've built a lot, buildings, deals, campaigns, but sometimes I wonder, what's it all for? You ever ask yourself that, Jimmy?" The question was raw, vulnerable, a crack in Trump's armor. Jimmy nodded slowly. "All the time. That's why I keep going back to that food drive, that girl, that old man. They remind me why I do this. It's not about me. It's about them. About God's love showing through." Trump's gaze drifted to the floor, his silence louder than any speech. What was he thinking? Was this the moment something shifted? The mic kept recording, capturing a conversation that would soon shake the world. Trump's question lingered in the air, raw and unguarded. "What's it all for?" The White House room felt smaller, the walls closing in on a moment neither man expected. Jimmy, still reeling from Trump's vulnerability, searched for the right words. The hidden mic, unnoticed, captured every heartbeat of this exchange. "I ask myself that a lot," Jimmy said, his voice steady but soft. "When I'm tired, when the comments online tear me down, I wonder if it's worth it. But then I think about what Jesus said. Whatever you do for the least of these, you do for me. That's what it's for. It's for the people who feel invisible, who need hope." Trump's eyes flicked up, meeting Jimmy's. For once, there was no bravado, just a man listening. "You're talking about faith," Trump said almost to himself. "I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but you live it. Why is it so real to you?" Jimmy took a deep breath, his mind flashing back to a memory he rarely shared. "When I was 13, my mom got sick, really sick. Hospital bills piled up and we almost lost everything. I was scared, angry at God even. But our church, they didn't just pray. They brought meals, paid bills, sat with us. I saw Jesus in them, in their kindness. That's when I knew faith isn't just words. It's action. It's giving when it hurts." Trump's face was unreadable, but his silence spoke volumes. He leaned back, processing. "What would you do if you had nothing left to give? Could you still find a way to love?" The question hung unspoken, but the air was thick with it. Jimmy continued, his voice gaining strength. "That's why I help people, not because I'm some saint, but because I know what it's like to feel helpless. I want to be for others what those people were for me. It's what Jesus did, saw the broken, loved them anyway." Trump's fingers stopped drumming. He leaned forward, his voice low. "I've won a lot in my life, Jimmy. Big deals, big crowds. But sometimes I look back and wonder if I missed something, if I was too busy winning to see people." The admission was stunning, a crack in the persona of a man known for never backing down. Jimmy nodded, not pushing, just listening. "It's never too late to see them," he said gently. "That's what I learned. One act of kindness, one moment of really seeing someone, it changes everything." Trump's eyes glistened, just for a second, before he cleared his throat. What would he say next? Would he brush it off, or was this the start of something deeper? The mic kept recording, holding on to a moment that felt sacred. The White House room seemed to hold its breath as Trump's words hung in the air. "If I was too busy winning to see people." Jimmy sat still, sensing the weight of the moment. The hidden mic tucked away, captured the raw honesty unfolding. Trump's admission wasn't just a confession. It was a question, a crack in the facade of a man who'd always projected strength. Jimmy didn't rush to fill the silence. Instead, he leaned forward, his voice gentle but firm. Seeing people, that's where it starts. Jesus didn't chase power or fame. He stopped for the ones everyone else ignored. That's what changed me. It's why I do what I do. Trump's gaze was steady, searching, like he was seeing Jimmy for the first time. You make it sound simple, Trump said, a hint of a smile breaking through. But it's not, is it? Giving like that, it costs you. Jimmy nodded, his eyes distant. It does. There was this one time, early in my YouTube days, when I gave away everything I had, every cent. I was broke, sleeping on a friend's couch, wondering if I'd made a mistake. But then I got a letter from a mom whose kid we helped with medical bills. She said, "You gave us hope when we had none." That's when I knew. Giving's not about what you lose. It's about what you give life to. Trump's expression shifted, something softening in his eyes. What's the cost of giving for you? Have you ever given more than you thought you could? The unspoken questions pulsed in the room, drawing the audience deeper into the story. I've built empires, Trump said slowly, his voice quieter than usual. Towers, brands, campaigns. But hope? That's different. I don't know if I've ever given that. It was a confession that felt seismic, a man known for confidence admitting a gap in his legacy. Jimmy didn't flinch. You can, he said simply. It's not about money or power. It's about showing up, like Jesus did, one person at a time. That's what faith looks like, love in action. Trump leaned back, his hands clasped, lost in thought. You remind me of someone, he said after a pause. Not sure who, but someone who believed in something bigger. Jimmy smiled faintly. Maybe it's not a person. Maybe it's God speaking through the people we help. The words landed softly, but their weight was undeniable. Trump didn't respond right away, his silence a canvas for something unspoken. Was he wrestling with his own purpose? Was this the moment the conversation would turn? The mic kept recording, preserving a dialogue that felt like it could shift hearts far beyond that room. The silence in the White House rooms stretched, heavy with meaning. Trump's last words, someone who believed in something bigger, echoed in Jimmy's mind. The hidden mic, still unnoticed, captured the quiet, a rare pause between two men whose worlds couldn't be more different. Jimmy felt the weight of Trump's gaze, not confrontational but searching, almost pleading for an answer he didn't know he needed. You said you've built empires, Jimmy began, his voice steady but warm. But what if the biggest thing we can build is hope? That's what Jesus taught me through the people I've met. It's not about the size of the gift. It's about the heart behind it. Trump's brow furrowed, like he was wrestling with a truth he hadn't faced before. You're talking about legacy, Trump said, his tone softer than anyone would expect. I've thought about that. What people will remember. Winning elections, building towers. It's big, but is it enough? The vulnerability in his voice was startling, a crack in the armor of a man who'd always seemed larger than life. Jimmy leaned in, his eyes earnest. When I was a kid, I thought enough was being famous. But then I saw what Jesus did, how he gave everything, even his life, for others. That's when I realized enough isn't what you get, it's what you give. I've never regretted a single dollar I've given away, because it's not about me, it's about them. What's your legacy? What will you leave behind that matters? The questions hung in the air, unspoken but piercing, pulling the audience into their own reflection. Trump shifted, his hands resting on the table. "I've given too," he said almost defensively. "Charities, fundraisers, but it's different for you. You're out there, face to face, changing lives. Why does that feel bigger?" Jimmy smiled, not triumphant but kind. "Because it's personal. Jesus didn't just send help. He showed up, touched people, listened. That's what I try to do. When I gave a car to a single mom last year, it wasn't the car that mattered. It was her tears, her knowing someone cared." Trump nodded slowly, his eyes distant, like he was seeing his own life through a new lens. "I've made mistakes," Trump admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "Pushed people away, focused on the fight. But this faith you're talking about, it's not weak, it's strong." Jimmy's heart raced, sensing a shift. "It's the strongest thing there is," he said. "Love, sacrifice, giving. That's what Jesus showed us. It's what holds us together." Trump looked at him, a flicker of something new in his eyes. What would he do with this moment? Would it change him? The mic kept recording, capturing a conversation that felt like a turning point. The White House room felt alive with the weight of Trump's words. "It's not weak, it's strong." Jimmy sat still, his heart pounding, sensing they'd reached a crossroads. The hidden mic, still unnoticed, recorded this final, sacred moment of their conversation. Trump's eyes held a rare softness, like a man seeing something he'd overlooked for years. "You're right," Jimmy said quietly. "Faith, love, giving. They're the strongest things we've got. Jesus didn't conquer with power. He conquered with sacrifice. That's what I'm chasing. Not fame, not wins, but that kind of strength." Trump leaned forward, his voice low but steady. "I've spent my life fighting to win. But what you're saying, it's bigger than that. It's about giving something that lasts." Jimmy nodded, his voice thick with emotion. "When I was 15, I made a promise to myself. After seeing my mom struggle, after the church stepped in, I swore I'd live like they did, like Jesus did. Not just giving stuff, but giving hope. Every video, every giveaway, it's my way of keeping that promise." Trump's face was unreadable, but his silence was different now. Not guarded, but reflective. "I've never told anyone this," Trump said, his words slow, deliberate. "When I was a kid, my mother used to read me Bible stories, Jesus, the Good Samaritan, all of it. I thought it was just stories. But now, I wonder if I missed the point." The admission was raw, a hidden mic capturing a side of Trump the world rarely saw. What have you missed in your own life? What's the promise you've yet to keep? The questions lingered, unspoken, inviting the audience to look within. Jimmy smiled softly. "It's never too late to keep a promise. Jesus showed us that one act of love can change everything. That's what I try to do, one person at a time." Trump's eyes glistened, and for a moment, the room held only their shared humanity. "You've given me something to think about, Jimmy," he said. "Maybe winning isn't everything. Maybe it's about showing up." The words were simple, but they carried a weight that echoed beyond the room. As they stood to leave, Jimmy felt a peace he couldn't explain. Trump extended a hand, but it wasn't just a handshake. It was a connection, a moment of understanding. "Keep doing what you do," Trump said. "It's bigger than you know." Jimmy nodded, carrying the weight of that truth. The mic stopped recording, but the conversation would live on, a testament to faith, purpose, and the power of giving. It left one final question. What will you do with the love you've been given? The answer, like Jesus' teachings, was in the doing.